The Faery Whispering podcast explores guests' encounters with the other world of fairy and ways of connecting with this realm. From listening to messages in owls' hoots, finding a four-leaf clover, chasing rainbows, or inviting a gnome to dinner. I'm Claire Sylvan Wand, a fairy whisperer, researcher, and your guide on this journey. Take my hand and step into the twilit woodland, where they are waiting to meet you. Welcome everyone. With the recent new moon and solar eclipse, I decided to adopt a new name for my fairy work, so I'm now known as Claire Sylvan Wand. This is a name gifted to me by the Fae during some journeying work I was doing a few years ago, and I felt that it was time to adopt it. We are now close to the threshold of Samhain in the Northern Hemisphere, and you're invited to join me on a gentle journey through woodland in Devon, England, with my guest singer-songwriter Nicky Swann. Nicky created the track Oxygen that I have adopted as my podcast theme. I recorded this wander back in June, so I hope that the summer nature sounds lift your spirits. Nicky and I walk and talk about the creative inspiration for her music, which includes nature, local history and folklore. She brought her ukulele with her and treats us to a live version of one of her tracks. Before the episode, a reminder that you can support the podcast on patreon.com/Faery Whisperer, spelled Faery. £3 a month gives you access to early releases, bonus episodes and lots of other goodies, such as EVPs, photos and artwork for the shows. Episode 2 and 3 of my mini-series A Place Like No are also available, or you can give a one-off donation on my Fairy Whisperer Buy Me a Coffee page. I offer fairy guide portrait readings, which you can find on Etsy. Follow me on Instagram at Fairy Whispering Podcast. I also have a YouTube channel with video versions of episodes and other videos about how to connect with fairies and some peeks into pixie places on Dartmoor. You can get in touch on my contact form on my website or by emailing me claire@fairywhisperer.co.uk. All of this info is in the description for the episode. Enjoy this episode and join me at the end for some final thoughts. Hello, welcome to the Fairy Whispering podcast, and I'm here today in Bradley Woods in Newton Abbot with a wonderful singer-songwriter called Nicky Swann, and Nicky and I know each other from doing our A-levels together in Newton Abbot quite a few years ago now. And so it's really lovely to meet up with her again today, and we're going to walk and talk about Nicky's inspiration for her music and her album How Does Your Land Lie, because there is a track that I really love on there called A Piece of Me, and the whole album actually I found very moving, and it's inspired by Newton Abbot. But I will let Nicky introduce herself a bit more before we have a bit of a walk and chat together.
Hi, I'm Nicky Swann. As Claire said, we met a long time ago, way back at sixth form. And it's been, it's just lovely to meet up with you again today. First of all, I just want to say it's just great to see you after so long. I haven't changed a bit, by the way. I've been writing songs since I was at school. I play guitar, I play a bit of piano, and I've been singing, performing and writing for all those years, and I'm still currently doing that now. And the album that Claire's talking about, I wrote in, I think it was 2012, released in 2012. And the album is actually about, all the songs are inspired by Newton Abbot, about the history, about the different stories that I uncovered, just doing some research about the town that I've lived in all my life. And I didn't know, I hardly knew any of the stories about, in any detail. So it was a bit of a journey for me to discover all the history and stuff. And I just relished kind of... oh, look, here's some lovely dogs. Yeah, I just relished doing the research for it and found it very inspiring.
Wonderful, yeah. And as we walk and talk, thank you, Nicky, you might hear some dogs barking. You're going to hear other people going by because it's very popular woodland for people to walk their dogs. So just to let you know if you hear the sounds in the background. We've also got the lovely sounds of the breeze going through the leaves, and we're walking along the River Lemon beside us as well. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, can you just tell me a little bit more before we come on to your album about your influences and your inspirations for your music, Nicky?
Yeah, sure. I suppose, I mean, I'm inspired by many, many things, I suppose, to write music. One of them being nature and, how it affects your mood. I always find it really inspiring just to kind of walk in woodland. And I love the sea as well. Just the sounds of nature I find quite inspiring. Bird song, all of those things really. Yeah, I never kind of tire of being in that environment, It's just... and that, I think that filters through to the music inevitably, and I think I find like more and more that I'm kind of almost using like your subconscious in a way to get the feelings through your music. And the album that you talk about, I know it's kind of based on history and facts and stuff, but I think obviously there's also an element of how you as a songwriter kind of connect with those stories, and how you perceive them is obviously projected in that, and how you're feeling at the time, and so it's all kind of interlinked, I think, really. Yeah.
Yeah, what you say about nature, how it helps us being out in nature, and how it affects our mood. Have you found that being in nature has helped you through difficult times? Or...
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, sometimes, everybody has those moments where things can be challenging, tough, for whatever reason. But I think sometimes just sort of saying to yourself, well, I'm just going to go for a walk, whether it's with somebody else or whether it's on your own, and just being out, away, from your situation and out in nature, it can just be so healing, I think. It's such a simple thing to do, but it can be very, very powerful.
Yes.
It's, incredible, really. It can just kind of refocus you, and recenter you, I suppose. I think it just helps clear your head, I think it's just a wonderful thing to do. And it's such an easy thing to do, although I know, if you're in a situation, sometimes it's hard to see the wood for the trees, but sometimes if you get out in those woods and trees, it can make a heck of a difference.
Definitely, yes. Yeah, that's a wonderful way to put it, actually, isn't it? And I'm just going to describe that we're walking on, it's been very hot, and this path that we're walking on is usually very muddy, and it's dried and it's left all these ripples, isn't it? So it's kind of, we're kind of swaying a bit, walking along, walking very carefully. So tell me about your album and the starting point, because before we started recording, you were explaining how the seeds of this idea for this album came to you. Can you just start with that?
Yeah, sure.
Story?
It's bizarrely. I mean, I think I was waiting for a dentist appointment, and I had a bit of time to kill, so I went into the Newton Abbot Museum, which isn't on. It's not in the building that it's in now. It was in a smaller building in Devon Square, and I popped in there because I had a bit of time, and started to have a look at the exhibits in there, and then got chatting to the curator, Felicity Cole, and I just uncovered some amazing stories that I didn't really know about my own hometown that I'd lived in for so many years, and I just found it incredible, really, and something just sparked in me that made me want to research more about these stories that were there on display, and I thought, I'm going to write some songs about this. This needs to be written in song, and that's where the journey began, and I then started doing loads more research, got loads of books from the library, and just started reading lots and lots, and it was just great. It really sort of flowed, and I don't know, just had a lot of inspiration just from that one off chance visit to the museum. It just sort of sparked so much. And Felicity, she's not the curator now, but she was so helpful and encouraging about the whole project as well. It's really good fun.
That's amazing too. Because these people are so dedicated, aren't they, that work for the museum.
Absolutely.
Or museums or local history in general. And actually, I was talking about this the other day, but there's a lot that isn't online, is there, in history?
Exactly. Yeah.
So through your creative process, you're bringing stories to life that perhaps people won't have access to.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, not everything is online. I know that's our go-to thing, isn't it, these days? Let's have a look online, it'll be there. But sometimes you've got to delve a little bit deeper, scratch the surface a bit and actually get out there and use some other avenues, to uncover some more surprising stories.
Which story really struck a chord with you, so to speak?
Nice pun. There were so many, but I suppose for one of them was there were lots, but one of them was there was a man called Frank Matcham who was born in Newton Abbot, and he actually went on to become a leading Victorian architect, and he's responsible for some amazing theatres across the UK. Some of them sadly destroyed now, but there are still some standing, so like the London Palladium that he created, the Blackpool Tower Ballroom as well. These are big, important theatres, and I couldn't believe that I didn't know that. He was a Newtonian, and I didn't know that, and I just felt, being a theatre architect and me being a performer, a songwriter, why didn't I know that? You know, he understood acoustics apparently so brilliantly that's why these theatres still stand today, you know, and they're just loved by other performers because of that. His understanding of acoustics and they're so iconic. They're just brilliant. But yeah, there were lots of, I could go on about lots of other stories.
Oh, I'd love to hear them.
Okay, cool.
Did he design anything in Newton Abbot? Or
no, I don't think he did. Not as far as I'm aware. No, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? Have our own theatre Matcham theatre.
Yeah. Like you say, acoustics are, I mean, I've only really come to understand this more since I've got into sound recording for my podcast, you know, the importance of, you know, place, you know, finding places to record that are sympathetic to recording, especially outside. Oh, look at this. We're surrounded by these tall beech trees and the breeze is going through them and all the leaves are waving. It's amazing. But there are so many places that I'm really sensitive to sound. Are you? As a recorder. So, for example, there are cafes or bars that I find difficult to be in because of the acoustics. Because, especially as I'm quite softly spoken, and if you're in a place that's got really difficult acoustics, it's just not fun, is it? You're trying to shout.
Absolutely, and I don't know, maybe perhaps my hearing's deteriorated a bit maybe over the years, but it's a real struggle sometimes, isn't it, I think, to hear conversation. And I think it's because a lot of the places I think that you refer to perhaps don't have those sort of soft furnishings that help to deaden, you know, the sound, and it just sort of bounces around the room. But it's something I'm very much aware of, those things.
I am now. Sounds and appreciation of sound as well, like little sounds I might hear. Like I can hear this recorder I'm using is very sensitive, so I can hear all the birds singing around us. You were talking about, was there another song that was a favourite of yours from that album? There's some notes.
There's another one which is called Newfoundland, and it's written from the perspective of a woman. The story really is about the cod fishing industry that was such a big industry here in Newton Abbot, which it's actually people would actually from Newton Abbot, they would go to Newfoundland in Canada to fish for cod, and they would leave in the springtime and they would work all through the summer, and then they'd come back in the autumn time. But it was such a huge industry within the town, so it wasn't just about the cod fishing. It was it was related to they would use the old mill, Holby Mill, is it called?
Holby Mill,
maybe?
Yes, it's over there.
It's close to where we are now, isn't it? And they would use that to create the fish hooks and the metalwork and the knives that the guys would then obviously take across to Canada. But I just wrote it from the perspective of the families though that they were leaving behind. You know, the women and the children who would have to say goodbye to them for such a long period of time in order to make a living. You know, and then they would return. I don't know, I just kind of felt that must have been a really difficult and dangerous, you know, thing to do, I would imagine. And they would recruit these men in the local pubs, so which is why some of the pubs in town have sort of more nautical names. There's the Jolly Sailor in Ogwell, which they used to recruit from. The Jolly Abbot in Newton Abbot used to be called the Jolly Sailor because of the cod industry. And I think there was one called the Newfoundland, but obviously that's not there anymore. So yeah, I just kind of, I don't know, that really kind of spoke to me, that story of, you know, the importance of family and the survival and you know, and having to make that sacrifice, really.
And what sort of age was that?
That would have been the late 1700s, I think, through to the 1800s.
Blimey.
Yeah.
Gosh, so they must have been away for months,
yeah,
they?
oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, they would, yeah, like I say, they would have gone in spring and then they'd work all through the summertime and then they'd come back in the autumn. So, yeah, it would have been a good sort of 6 months or so at a time. And obviously not being able to text each other or email.
Or know
not
if they
knowing.
were still alive.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I wonder how the women and children survived.
Yeah.
Because where would they have got their...
That's the thing, isn't it?
Income from?
How would they have survived all that time? Exactly. They must have, you know, it must have been such a hard life for a lot of people, I think. Yeah.
Perhaps
absolutely.
agricultural labour or working in... Because I think there were mills here, weren't there?
Yes.
The Bradley Estates.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was also the rope makers, the rope walk on East Street.
Yeah.
That was obviously because of the fishing industry, you know, making the ropes for that. So whether women worked in that industry, I don't know.
Possibly.
Possibility, maybe. Not sure. Yeah.
Gosh, we've got it so much easier these days.
Haven't we just? Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Yeah, I'm just looking at my notes actually here, and it does actually say from the 1500s that started. So, and then that went on for about another 4 centuries. So yeah, they would sail from Devon to Newfoundland.
Gosh.
So yeah, absolutely.
What's Because of You?
Oh, that was the one about Frank Matcham.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
that one. And this one here, Diving, which is about John Lethbridge. And there's an amazing exhibition in the Newton Abbot Museum now, currently, which has a replica of John Lethbridge's diving engine. So John Lethbridge created this diving engine in let me get this right. He was born in 1675. And so I think he was in his maybe 20s or 30s when he actually created this diving engine. And the diving engine was so that obviously he could go underwater and breathe and salvage the sort of cargo basically from shipwrecks.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. So it was quite incredible that he was able to create this thing. And he used to live in Newton Abbot, and I think he had a house on Walborough Street, which I think is still there. I'm not sure what number it is, but it's one of those
pretty old
grand,
ones.
Grand buildings. And he used to experiment in his back garden with this. He used an old cider barrel originally to create this diving engine. And dug a pond in his back garden and just started experimenting. And I just wonder what his neighbours thought of that. I must have thought he was a bit bonkers, I think.
I wonder if the remnants of that pond is still there.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, it would be interesting to see. Yeah, I'm imagining it's still somebody's house. I think, you know, go and knock on their door and say, "Let me have a look in your garden." Oh dear. But yeah, anyway, he was successful. He went on to salvage loads of wrecks and recover, you know, any cargo that had been lost. So he was extremely successful with his invention. And I just thought, he must have been such a determined person, and incredibly brave, I think, to kind of,
Yes.
go underwater and, try out this new creation, just, incredible, really.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about the days before, people had limited means of making income, didn't they?
Yeah.
And I suppose the thought of finding some treasure,
that's it.
lost treasure, could make him for life.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened. He then became a very wealthy, successful person, and he was actually able to do a lot of good within the community as well. I think he helped out and donated money to the church, I think, in Walborough Church. That's where he's buried, and there is a plaque sort of saying that he'd given to the church and stuff, and there's a plaque sort of dedicated to him and stuff. So I think he must have been quite an inspirational guy, really.
Yeah, he must be very these people, they must have had such determination and strength and fortitude.
Yeah, absolutely.
To survive these times. I mean, I suppose they didn't know any different, did they? But it's just us looking back and thinking, could we live that that way?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, I don't think I could.
Right,
shall we walk on? Or did you want to find a place to... There's some nice logs over there, look.
There's
in the sun.
A sunny log.
A sunny
That
log?
looks inviting.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
Let's sit over there. We found a sunny log.
This looks good. This looks like a comfy log.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Let's sit here.
So I'm going to perch, I think.
Okay.
How's that?
That's great.
It seems pretty stable.
I'll take my bag off. Yeah, so the track, A Piece of Me, which I immediately connected with, the words really spoke to me about, that it's not a jewel, it's not it's not one of those places people think, I must go to Newton Abbot.
Yeah.
But there's so much hidden beneath the surface here that isn't immediately noticeable.
No, it's not shouting out all whistles and bells kind of stuff, is it? But then again, here we are sitting in this gorgeous wooded area with the sun shining down on us, and it seems pretty perfect to me. Just kind of sitting here. But A Piece of Me, I mean, it is really a homage, I suppose, to me spending a lot of my life here, living in and around Newton Abbot in this area, and I don't know, just kind of discovering what it's got to offer, through the history, really. And sometimes you don't need a lot of, I don't know what's the word I'm trying to think of, a lot of tinsel or fluff and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So just sometimes you just need to strip it back to the basics and kind of appreciate the kind of simple things in life. So and it's a working town. It's always been a working market town, and it's been a good think it's a good base to seeing other parts of Devon which perhaps get a bit more attention. For example, like Dartmoor, which I absolutely adore, and the seaside and stuff. But we can't all be superstars, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's like
yeah. And that feeling of, this is what I got from the song, this feeling of going away and coming back here, which I definitely experienced many times when I was either at university or living in London. I lived in London for a couple of years, and every time I came back on the train and came to the Tean estuary past Teignmouth, I was like,
yeah, absolutely.
That feeling of, Newton Abbot Station, I'm home.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. And I had similar things when, if I'm out sort of gigging and then I'm driving back, and you're hitting, I'm coming into sort of Penning Roundabout, and it's like, I'm back home again. Everything's good. I mean, I know, Penning Roundabout's not the prettiest roundabout in the world, but that's not what I'm saying.
It's that connection, isn't it? It's
absolutely.
That connecting place. Great, I'm home.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So,
I was just going to say, the other thing that kind of inspired that song as well was, I used to live on Spencer Road, which is up behind the old hospital, quite a steep hill. My parents used to live there, and I obviously used to live with them. On that same road, there was a painter, and his name was Dave Stuttard, who I, again, later in life discovered that he was a painter. I mean, I didn't know at the time when I was living there, I was only a kid. Anyway, he'd painted loads of scenes of Newton Abbot, and his painting style is very colourful. It's got quite a nice naivety to it, but he would paint scenes that are just everyday scenes, from Newton Abbot, from the town around. So there's scenes of, I don't know, people in the market. There's scenes of just terraced houses, and stuff. But I just thought that I just love them. They're so honest, they're not trying to paint Newton Abbot as anything other than what it is. It's an honest working town. That's what it is, and I just love the way he depicts that. Sadly, he's no longer with us, but his artwork is online, and you can check it out. And I think it's worth having a look. His son arranged an exhibition a few years ago in town of his work. And unfortunately, I don't think there's anything on display here in the town, which I think is a real shame.
It is.
I think it is.
Can I ask? Is that his picture on the front?
It is, absolutely. Yeah, it is.
I love that. Yeah.
I mean, this is the road at the top where I used to live.
Oh, wow.
So this is a view from looking up from the bottom. Basically, you've got all the terraced houses and then all the parked cars along the side of the road. This is the old hospital here on the right hand side.
Yeah.
I just love his work.
I love that.
It's very honest.
I will look him up.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more of his views of Newton Abbot.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you say, as an artist, I know as a painter, we're always looking for something new and exciting to paint, or nature, natural scenes, the landscape.
Yeah.
But he's just painted that road as it is, isn't it?
Absolutely.
With the parked cars and...
Yeah. But I just think there's something really beautiful about it.
Yeah.
And I've walked up that hill many, many times as a kid and not really seen it through his eyes, obviously. And yet I'm looking at it now with fresh eyes and thinking, oh, wow, yeah, there is something quite special about that, actually, brilliant guy.
And maybe as well, I mean, I think there's, now that we all have smartphones, maybe, we're always snapping photos. We've become a little bit, I don't know what the word is, taken for granted what's around us, because we can just capture it on a phone. And I suppose he was painting at time before smartphones to capture those kinds of scenes that,
I suppose it's a bit like Lowry in that respect.
It's that naive, they call it, don't they? Even though I think it's, it's a little bit disparaging, really. But
I know, I don't like using that word, but I think people understand what that kind of look is, don't they? But it seems a bit derogatory in a way to say naive, but
it's really...
I really like his stuff. But definitely check out David Stuttard. He's got a website that his son runs, I think. So, it's good stuff.
I love those illustrations. Amazing. Yeah, I can't wait to have a read. Fabulous.
What else have we got here? Now I'm looking back, because I did write this 10 years ago. I'm wishing that I'd included more women's stories, thinking about it. But I suppose, that again, that's part of history, kind of not really maybe projecting women's stories quite so much, perhaps. I don't know.
I think that's... maybe it's only become more into our awareness as well.
I think so.
Because you and I were brought up and went to school at a time when, for example, studying art, it was all male artists.
Yes.
I can't remember many female artists I was introduced to.
No.
It's only when I went to not even university, really, when I was doing my teacher training, and we were encouraged to make sure you include some female artists. And I thought, because
it's just
so indoctrinated. That kind of. But now we're a little bit more aware of the women that were there. And there's loads of brilliant women that were local folklorists and historians and topographers and
absolutely and they're just not pushed to the fore as much. That I mean, perhaps I need to go back and write some more stories and do some more research and do another one celebrating more women. Perhaps that might be something to do in the future.
Amazing. Love to hear some of your music. So you've brought a ukulele. Was there something you wanted to play?
I will just play a little ditty.
If
that's all right. Okay, so this is called Newfoundlands, which is about the cod fishing industry. My favourite season this used to be. Now springtime has different feelings for me. I wait for you now. I join the masses upon the quay. I see your face smiling. You wave to me. I wait for you now. And the call from the captain to all his men sinks my heart. When will I see you again? I wait for you now. As you sail out to newfound lands, where the water runs deep, I hope they'll be calm and still, and the wind and breeze are the pretty girls in newfound land. Will I fade from your dreams? I'm longing for leaves to fall when you come back home to me. Now the pull and the promise of a better life, to build something for us both, well, it fills me with pride. I'll wait for you now. More than 2,000 miles, only wood, stars and seas, and the bravest of souls keeping you company. I'll wait for you now. As you sail out to newfound lands, where the waters run deep, I hope they'll be calm and still, and the wind breeze are the pretty girls in newfound lands. Will I fade from your dreams? I take comfort in remembering your parting words to me. You are not alone. You are not alone. You're my heart, my home. Just wait for me now. As you sail out to newfound lands, where the waters run deep, and I hope they'll be calm and still, and the wind breeze are the pretty girls in newfound lands. Or will I fade from your dreams? I'm longing for leaves to fall when you come back home to me, and I'm longing for leaves to fall.
I was just holding back tears. It's so moving.
Oh gosh.
No, it's a good way. It's it's that artistic, that artist moved by your words and the emotion in it. Yeah.
Oh, that's I'm great. I'm really, it's great to hear you say that.
Yeah.
It means a lot.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Especially talking about the story behind it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to go and hug a tree.
Yeah. I thought that was quite nice when we were talking about the wind and the breeze. I think I could hear the trees kind of doing their thing.
I was noticing that. I was noticing dragonflies.
Oh, wow.
There was a butterfly when you started to play.
Really?
A butterfly went by and then a dragonfly was sat over there for a few moments.
I had my eyes closed. I was like...
Yeah. That was so amazing. Oh, I love that ukulele. It's an amazing little instrument, isn't it? Yeah.
It's so diddy. It's really, really nice. Yeah, it's quite cute.
The other story, before I come on to that, I started playing the harp.
Oh,
when I was about 2015, because when I was growing up, I loved the piano, and I had my grandmother's piano that I used to I had a few lessons, but I found it very therapeutic to sit at and make up my own little songs that were like stories.
Yes.
And it was like a way of channeling stories into this music. And then I had a big gap between having lessons. And then I thought, I'm being really called, because of my health journey, I was really called to the harp. Okay. And so I treated myself to a lesson. It's my 42nd, doing my 42nd birthday, so I've played the harp since then. I'm never going to be like a professional player, but I enjoy what I get from it for myself.
And that's the beauty of music, isn't it?
Yeah.
It can do so many brilliant things. And I know we were talking earlier about, nature being a healer, and if you're, in a bad place or whatever, but music equally, goodness me, I mean, that can just, all your problems kind of sink away, I think, soon as you can start focusing on something musical.
Yes.
And you're just focused on that one thing, aren't you? It's a bit like meditation, I suppose, in a way. You're focusing on that one thing, and I think, well, certainly for me, all my other thoughts just kind of disappear, I think, It
is a form of meditation, isn't it? Yeah, like you say, because you're focused on the playing, but also this kind of other rhythm, really, isn't it? It is a rhythm.
Oh, I'd love to hear the harp. I love the sound of harp.
Yeah, I'm a bit out of practice, so I'm just revving up to get back into practicing again.
Fantastic.
And I've also got, because I've got two harps, I've got like a floor standing one and a little Celtic harp.
Okay, yes, yeah.
And I've got a tongue drum, steel tongue drum.
Okay, is that, am I right? Do you hit it with that little hammers or something like that?
Yeah,
Is that right? Yeah.
use soft drumsticks. And it just makes this beautiful resonance. They're all tuned to different resonances. And that's just very simple to play, and like anyone can get a tune out of it. But I get totally lost with that. It's just it's good for the soul.
Definitely. Do you find that the time just kind of goes and you don't realise how long you've been doing stuff? Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Oh. The other song I was going to ask you about actually is the Union Babies.
Oh, yes.
Which I really love that track as well.
Well, that was part of the most of the words from that song I didn't actually write. They were actually from a poem that was written written by a doctor that used to work in Newton Abbot in the Victorian era. His name was Dr. John Lee, Ley, and he did an awful lot of reform for people that were in the workhouses in the town, which is part of the old Newton Abbot Hospital site. That's where the workhouses were. And the conditions were pretty awful, I think, really, for people there. But when he was in the town, he did an awful lot in pushing for better conditions. He went to Parliament and pushed for better reforms. He did an awful lot for people in really awful situations. And he wrote a lot of poetry. And a lot of the poetry is about his experiences as a doctor. And I actually bought a book of his poems, and that was I just happened to see it was on. There was a book for sale online, and I thought, I'll just get it on the off chance that it is the same guy, and it was. And this little green book arrived, hardback book. Inside there's a cover of Dr. Lee inside. It was actually signed by him as well, which was fantastic. It was actually signed by the guy himself. Incredible. Anyway, I was sort of flicking through, and this poem just kind of hit me immediately. I was reading it, and I thought, as I'm reading the lines to this poem, it's like, this just sounds like a blues song to me. It's there, it's all there, kind of thing. So I I just kind of read you a few of the lines. It's like, only the Union babies, I know that's what they say, they're only the little pauper kids, the ones that they hide away. But say, what does it matter? What difference does it make? No child should be neglected, though its parents it forsake. And I just thought, wow, this man must have seen an awful lot of poverty in his work, and it's obviously pushed him to make life better for some of these people. He actually trained as well with Dr. Bernardo. I think when they were going through university together and training, that they worked hand in hand for a little while. But yeah, I mean, I can't claim to have written those lyrics, but I was able to take them and just adapt them slightly to fit into the song. And another inspiring man, I think. And he was around in the sort of late 1800s to early 1900s. Incredible guy. Yeah.
Because the Union Workhouse in Newton Abbot, I know that as being connected with Kitty J. Apparently.
Yes, of course, yes. Yeah,
she
absolutely.
Was there.
She was, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've actually written a song about her as well on the album, which is called One Track Line.
Is that about her?
Yes, yeah. I know there's been a few songs written about Kitty J, hasn't there?
Yes.
In the past, I think Seth Lakeman has written a song about her. But yeah, I mean, I've written one called One Track Line, which is it's sort of sung from her perspective. And the story goes, that she was an orphan who was in the workhouse in Newton Abbot. But she was then apprenticed to a farm in Maniton, apparently. And the story goes that she fell in love with the farmer's son. She fell pregnant, but obviously they weren't going to marry. There was no, that wasn't going to happen. So she was sort of shunned from the farm, and sadly she took her own life, and that's why she's buried outside of the boundary of Maniton, in as we know as Kitty J's grave, and where there's always sort of offerings to Kitty J, isn't there? There's always flowers, or there's pennies and things there. And I just thought, it's such a sad story. It's so tragic. And I just thought, what was this? What would this young girl have felt? She was very young. She would have been so alone. What she would have gone through.
It is one of those, very sad stories, and but she's still, like you say, her grave is still. Whenever you go up there, there are always some kind of offerings on there. Sometimes
absolutely.
teddies, some pennies. Yeah. So Nicky, you were saying that you've got some new projects, or a new project that you're working on at the moment. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, I've got a new project which I started in lockdown, actually, because I had time to learn how to record at home. so I started writing lots of new songs, and I decided that, because it's slightly different to Nicky Swann stuff, I think the Nicky Swann music is a bit more folky and a bit more Americana, whereas my new stuff, it seemed to be a bit more pop rocky orientated. So I decided to call it a different name, so I've called it Third Girl from the Left. And yeah, it's quite a nice experimental project for me, really. It's I'm using more electric guitar, whereas before I would, obviously been using acoustic guitars before, and also some more electronics with like iPads and Beats and things, as well as working with other drummers, bass players and keyboard players. So it's a bit it's just different, it's a slightly different genre. But I've been gigging with it as well. Been playing some little festivals and just playing some different venues. So yeah, I've been really enjoying it. It's been just nice to do something fresh and exciting.
Yeah. So is there somewhere where we can find out?
Absolutely, yeah. They have a website, which is thirdgirlfromtheleft.com. And also there's Third Girl from the Left on Bandcamp as well. So there's an EP available, and also some singles which you can download as well. So there's stuff out there online, and there's also some videos and stuff on YouTube. So yeah, I've been creating some YouTube videos at home and editing and stuff. So that's been quite fun. So yeah, I've just been doing some different things over the last sort of couple of years, really.
What's your YouTube channel called?
Again, just Third Girl from the Left, and it'll pop up. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll put the links to those in the notes for this episode. And can you talk about any of the songs and what's inspired you?
Again, I can't. Well, I mean, over lockdown, I think we were all, just looking to nature an awful lot more. And a lot of the songs, I think, they are very much inspired by nature and being out in nature. Some of the songs even have like birdsong and stuff recorded on them, which I did from the garden, because I couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, sure.
But it's been really lovely to connect with nature in that way and kind of put it through my music. And about some of the songs are about overcoming challenges, and almost like being on a journey of kind of self-discovery in a way, and taking different paths and things and having the courage to take that leap. So yeah, I'm hoping that I can release an album of that music as well soon, and that theme will be very much part of that album of new discoveries and just kind of getting through stuff and finding your way.
Sounds really inspiring. I'm looking forward to listening to those tracks because, like you say, I think, and I've spoken about this before with a few people about that time of lockdown and how so many of us were creatively inspired by it, and even though it was difficult, that many of us creatively took that as a bit of a creative challenge.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's helped a lot of people move forward in a way as well, hasn't it?
Yes.
In a positive way.
Definitely. I mean, for me, it was I wouldn't say it was an enjoyable time, but I think I managed to do something.
Just got to stroke this tree.
We just touched this tree.
It's calling to me. The bark's very cracks. And did you discover your local environment more, like many of us did?
Goodness me, yeah. Lots of walks locally. Luckily there is a lot of green space around us. We're quite lucky in that respect. Definitely got to explore a lot more, and it was just so nice in a way to have that time to do that. Because normally you don't really appreciate what's on your doorstep, do you? And in a positive way, that that was a good thing that obviously came out of lockdown, because I think a lot of people now continue to do that.
I think so too.
Since that time, so there have been positive things that come out of COVID. I think. I think a lot of people have rediscovered that nature is a big part of your well-being and stuff. So yeah.
Yes, definitely. It's as I said when we were talking at the start, my inspiration to start recording came from that time, because it was so quiet, and I had an idea of, I'd like to record some meditations, and I had the perfect recording studio.
Right.
So I thought, I'll just do it. And then that led to this podcast and meeting fantastic people like yourself and all the other people that I've spoken to, and stories, and so in a way, even though I wouldn't want to go through that again, I don't think any of us would, but it's out of it, like it's that human spirit, isn't it, we were talking about, that I don't know, somehow we just keep going, and if we're that way minded, we take something positive from it and go with it, and then it takes us forward to a better place.
Definitely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you, Nicky, for your time today. It's been really so enjoyable spending time.
It's been a real pleasure, actually. It's been a real pleasure to see you again and to chat about stuff, and it's just I loved it.
Fabulous. Thank you. And thank you to nature, and to this beautiful place that we've been walking in today, Bakers Park and Bradley Woods. So I'll put all of Nicky's links to all of her projects and music in the notes for this show. Thank you for listening, and see you next time. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to the end of the episode and for supporting the podcast. I wish you well on all of your journeys and hope that you find newfound lands over the coming months. I'm going to leave you with Nicky's track, Diving, which we discussed in the episode. For me, this represents the ingenuity that we have and creativity that we have as human beings to create new ways forward, find new discoveries within ourselves, and to create the reality that we want to experience. Goodbye for now, and remember to keep your heart open and to be the change.
I can't believe that it was you who told me by the fever come alive. I can't believe that it was you who taught me only the strong survive. Doubters on the shore, and I will see them take a breath. Now it's 1, 2, 3, dive in. Don't think, just dive in. Now they're talking a phoenix from the